everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles podcast. My name is Erin, and I do actually have stuff to show you today because last week was far less chaotic than the last time I filmed a podcast. I'm still pretty low on finished objects just because of some other stuff that I've been working on, but that'll make more sense as we kind of go through the stuff that I have to show you today. So I only have one finished object, and this is one that I haven't even shown you in the podcast before because I was filming a video for it, but I made this mosaic crochet wall hanging that I think turned out pretty cool, and this is actually kind of like a preview for Friday's video. The reason why I didn't show this in a previous podcast was because I started it on Thursday of last week, so after the podcast came out, with the intent to finish it in one day. That didn't quite happen. I actually finished it this morning and finished filming it this morning. But this will have its own dedicated video on Friday where I will go in depth on the patterns I used and the techniques and just kind of talk you through the process of how I learned how to do mosaic crochet. So I won't spend too much time on that one since it's getting its own video, but I did really enjoy the process of mosaic crochet. I did mosaic knitting for the first time a few weeks ago, and there were definitely a lot of similarities between the two techniques, but I noticed that there's multiple types of mosaic crochet, which was interesting, but you'll have to tune into Friday's video to find out more about that. The other thing, actually that was it for finished objects, so maybe I'll do whips and then acquisitions, because I actually have quite a few acquisitions or like gathering of supplies, if you will, for the remainder of today's podcast. So the main whip that I've been working on since I finished my crochet wall hanging is the shawl that I'm making for my friend for her bridal shower, but kind of as like a sort of a wedding gift. I did actually make some progress on it. You can see my little purl stitch markers right there. So I finished the last couple rows of the last section of the virus stitch, and now I'm on the granny square stitch. It's a little hard to hold with the hook in there, especially since the yarn is delicate, but this is how big it's gotten. So I haven't even used up one full skein of the alpaca yarn yet, and I do have 4 of them, but I'm really hoping to dive into this project more in the next couple weeks, as well as the matching one for the bride's mom, because I really want to get those finished so that I know that they're ready for the shower. Yeah. I realized I mentioned in one of the previous podcasts that I was going to do a video on the lavender sachets, but that I'm also making for that bridal shower. And I mentioned that I was in the process of filming a video for it, but I went back and watched the footage that I had already taken, and it wasn't really coherent enough to make a video. And if you haven't watched previous episodes of the podcast, I am making 30 lavender sachets as favors for a friend's bridal shower. And while the like knitting part of them is done, I haven't sewn them all up yet. And I was trying to get a clip of like all of them finished to be the end of the video, but I ended up watching my footage back and went like, this isn't really that great of a video. It's not a very interesting vlog to watch. I'm not learning anything new. So if you were interested in the lavender sachets, I think I'm going to put it on my list of things to do as tutorials and actually show you how to do it instead of making it like a vlog style video. I think that the like big batch item videos are fun when I'm making like a variety of things throughout a week. I've done a couple like get ready with me for a craft fair videos, but since I was making one thing the whole video and it was a pretty simple thing, it wasn't a very interesting filming process. So I decided to scrap that video, but let me know if you're interested in getting a tutorial on how to make the lavender sachets, because I'd be happy to revisit that possibly over the summer, especially since that's an item that I also make for craft fairs. So that was the shawl and kind of an update on the sachet situation. The other whip that I've had out, and you would have seen this last week if you watched my Quiet Crochet With Me video that I released. I actually haven't worked on it since then, but I started a corner to corner velvet blanket. This is very heavy already, or like heavy for a crocheted piece, so I'm sure the finished blanket will also be very cozy. For this blanket, I'm using Bernat Baby Velvet in the color Emerald. I've had this yarn for quite a long time because originally I wanted to make a cardigan with it, but I think it was too heavy to be like a wearable cardigan. It like stretched out a lot, so I thought it would be better suited for a blanket. But I started this last week and I got pretty far because I wanted to have a little bit of it done before I started doing the Quiet Crochet With Me video on that, so that you could kind of see what I was working towards. So that'll be kind of a not consistent whip. Also, I know it's not going to be very interesting to watch the progress on that because it's just a giant rectangle. But I'll give you updates in the podcast as I reach like interesting parts of working on that. But it's probably not a whip that you're going to see every week, both because I won't be working on it every week and because it's just a giant rectangle. Like, we've seen C2C blankets before. It's not that interesting, but it made for a great Quiet Crochet With Me project, so that was good. I think that's all I've got for whips. I know I have some other whips kind of in rotation, but they're my like current traveling projects or things that I'm considering frogging and starting again. So those are the only functional whips that I have for this week. Let's move on to some supplies and acquisitions because I ended up with quite a strange assortment of things this week to show you. Oh wait, I have one more whip. Sorry, one more. You can hear one of my acquisitions over there. I started another embroidery piece. This one is also from a kit. Gotta make sure not to drop the needle. And it's from a kit that I purchased from a thrift store, so I believe it's actually a vintage embroidery kit. I'm trying to stick the needle in the fabric. But you can see kind of the progress I've made. I filled in these letters at the top, as well as I outlined those words with stitches. Not all of the words in this one need outlines. It's more of a, like, sections of it are supposed to be cross stitch, but it's not real cross stitch fabric, so it's kind of a funky design. I'll show you the chart real fast. So it says "Thou shalt not whine." I got this for like $1 maybe at a thrift store, but I'm just keeping it in my little box so that it can be my project for days that I'm subbing, because I discovered I like doing embroidery projects on those days. So that was the last whip. Just one more thing to show you. Now we can do acquisitions. So the first one is definitely not a purchase. It was something that I already had in my house, but that I've now started gathering for the upcoming Renaissance Fair season. I do have quite a few Ren Fair costume videos planned to show you guys. And I'm very, very excited about all of those. But there were a couple things that I wanted to try this year for Ren Fair, especially now that I know kind of what weekends my group is looking at, which we haven't really had a discussion as our whole group yet, but me and one of my friends who, like, we go with the group, but then we usually also plan like a shopping weekend. We've been talking about like what weekends we want to go, and she really wants to go to Steampunk Weekend, and I know the rest of our group will probably also want to go to Steampunk Weekend. And I currently don't have a steampunk costume. I had one that I used a couple years ago, but it was a dress that I purchased off of Amazon, so it was kind of a tight fit to begin with, and I found that it was no longer something that I was comfortable wearing. just because of the way it was constructed. So I ended up giving that dress to my sister-in-law to use as a costume if she so chooses. I think that's who I gave it to. Maybe I tried to give it to her and she said no, but I don't remember now. Anyway, I no longer have that dress in my possession, I believe. So I don't really have a steampunk costume. I have a lot of like base pieces that fit with normal Ren Fair stuff. Like I have a pair of stays, which I think people are calling them corsets now. They are two different things, but like looks like a vest with laces up the front. I have one of those. It's reversible. I have kind of a flowy dress. I have lots of skirts that I use as like layering pieces for my Ren Fair costume. But those don't quite work for steampunk. So I was trying to figure out a way to use pieces I already have and make them kind of a fantasy steampunk look, even though steampunk is usually very sci-fi. But I kind of figured that was the only way I could bridge those two pieces. And I didn't really want to buy a whole new steampunk outfit. I realize I'm saying this as the sewing machine is still sitting in the box, like it has been since November. But I would like to get to the point where I can make my own costume pieces. So I'm really trying not to buy garments at this point. If I'm buying like jewelry or small accessories that I know I couldn't make even with a sewing machine, I'm fine with that, although I really haven't purchased any this year. But I'm really trying not to purchase costume garments until I figure out if like sewing machine stuff is going to work for me, if I can handle it, which I know I'll be able to, like I can figure it out, but I'm trying not to purchase new pieces. But I know that there's interest in going to the steampunk weekend. So that was point number one, is I need a steampunk adjacent costume. Point two is that since I'm trying to use garments I already have, I really wanted to focus on crochet and knit accessories for Ren Fair, but I'm kind of limited in what I can make because Ren Fair is over the summer. So I don't want anything that's going to be too hot, like cardigans, sweaters, things like that are off the table. I can do shawls as layering pieces, but I can't really wear them over my shoulder because of how warm it is. So I was kind of on the hunt for new crochet ideas of things that I could make. And there's one idea that actually a friend in that group wants to commission me to make for her, and she wants a mushroom themed crochet hat. So I will probably also be making one for myself at some point. But the other thing that I kind of saw as I was scrolling through Pinterest was crocheted fairy wings. And that was something I had never considered doing before, but I ended up looking at a couple different patterns, and I think I've settled on one from Etsy that I want to use, but I'll wait until I've fully decided that that's what I want to use before sharing with you, because I don't want to share something that doesn't work, if that makes sense. But the crocheted fairy wing pattern that I did find called for metal hangers. And the reason it needs metal hangers is because you use the wire from the hangers to shape the wings and then crochet your pieces and kind of sew them in. So it was a very long way of saying that I ran around my house and collected all of the wire hangers that we had because we have plenty of other hangers. So there's actually way more than this sitting on the table right now. I believe each pair of wings calls for 4 hangers, so I actually have enough hangers to make 3.5 pairs of fairy wings. And that's assuming that I don't locate any more wire hangers between now and then. But I'm really excited about this project. It's probably going to be a scrap yarn project. I'm definitely going to make it into a video if I do it. But connecting back to the steampunk thing, I realized that doing kind of a fantasy steampunk might kind of blend what I have together a little bit better. So I can use my black stays and kind of the black and beige color palette, but I think I'm going to make a pair of fairy wings in a very neutral color, like a cream. And I have tons of little steampunk gear charms left over from other projects. So I think instead of like permanently adhering the gears to the wings in some way, I'm going to put them all on little lobster clasps and just clip them onto the wings so that I have a set of steampunk fairy wings, and then I can use some of my steampunk accessories that I still have. But I feel like that will like make the stays not look as funny compared to like a Victorian looking corset, and I can keep kind of the more like loose and flowy silhouette that I like to wear instead of something that's a little bit more structured and Victorian style. So I think that's the plan for that. So hopefully you'll get at least 2 Ren Fair videos from me over the summer. One making all the, or even before the summer, because I'll be making them ahead of time. But one doing the set of mushroom hats and one doing fairy wings. And I kind of hope that I can maybe also make a set of fairy wings to go with my mushroom costume, because that would be fun. So yeah, that's kind of the Ren Fair plan, and that's why I currently have a ton of hangers sitting on my workspace. I need to figure out somewhere to put them in the meantime until I'm ready to work with them, but for right now they're just on the counter over here. The next thing that I have was a purchase from Amazon. I have been very interested in trying visible mending, both for practicality reasons and because it just looks fun. And my library offers a visible mending class, but it keeps falling on days that I can't go. So I'm hoping I can go to the class and like figure out some of those techniques. But the technique that I saw the most frequently on like TikTok, sorry for the plastic packaging, was using a darning loom. So I purchased one from Amazon. This is the loom itself. So it has all of these little hooks that like, I believe they're supposed to slide back and forth. I don't actually know how that works. Oh, like that. You kind of just, you can flip all the loops. That has something to do with how this works. I don't really remember from the videos that I've watched. But it has the actual loom. It has a little piece of wood that becomes like the flat surface you work on while you're going. It also came with a set of directions, it looks like, although I'm going to be counting on YouTube videos because I really need the visual. Some extra large rubber bands. I assume that this is kind of to hold the pieces together while you're working. And then a couple of tools. It looks like a very long needle. It has a piece of foam on the end kind of to make sure you don't stab yourself. And this looks like a latch hook with like a notch in it. So I'm going to be learning more about that, hopefully figuring out how to do it. And while I had a couple pieces of my own that I wanted to try to repair, I should like put this back in the bag and then finish talking because clearly I can't do both at the same time. Back in the bag. I had a couple pieces of my own that I wanted to repair, but my mom dropped off a pair of my dad's mittens that has a fairly big hole up here at the top. And even though it's knit and I probably could fix it with yarn, just because of where the holes are and because they've gotten kind of worn through in some places, I thought it would be easier to try to do it with the darning loom, especially because there's a couple different spots on each mitten that really need it. Actually, this one, I guess this one has one spot that has a hole, but the other one looks a lot worse, I think, because the other one is the left hand and my dad is left-handed, so the right mitten actually looks pretty okay. Alright, we got all that stuff. The other thing that I purchased, because I saw at least 2 other people do it on YouTube, so I immediately had to run out and get it. I purchased one of the Michaels $10 clearance boxes that like doesn't even fit in frame on my screen. I saw for sure Alt Knots and Cinnamon Stitches got one of these. I watched the Alt Knots, the video from Alt Knots and what she got in some of hers. I believe she made 2 videos about it actually, because she got like 10 boxes. I only got 1. I haven't watched Cinnamon Stitches yet because I wanted to like open up my own and then go back and watch and like compare what we got. I know in the Alt Knots video she said that her Michaels, before she opened the boxes, it appeared like it was mostly Christmas and Valentine's Day stuff. And that's definitely what she had in her box. Just in like peeking through the handles of the boxes that were available at my Michaels, it seemed like my Michaels only had Christmas stuff in their boxes. But I was really excited about it because I got one of these in the fall as well. And it had a lot of like the artificial flowers in it, which are normally really, really expensive. So honestly, I think it's a good deal just for that, especially if you like hang a wreath on your door and are looking for some accent pieces. There's almost always some sort of floral thing in here. And that's a really good deal by itself, because sometimes a single like little sprig of flowers is like $6. So if you get 2 of them, you've already like covered the price of the box. So even though it's not stuff that I'll be able to use immediately, I still wanted to like open it on camera and show you. So I'm going to grab a pair of scissors, although the tape on this box was like pretty destroyed by the time we got to it. Probably didn't even need the scissors. I could have just ripped that off. Oh well. We're going to open this and see what's inside. Alright. Definitely Christmas themed. Okay, first thing is a little wooden decor sign that says Christmas Kisses on it. And it's got mistletoe. It says on the back that this was originally $14.99 in the US. So $14.99 right off the bat. We're already at an item that is more expensive than the whole box was. Next up in here are some poinsettia. Is it poinsettia or poinsettia? I never know. I know it has that extra I in there, but I feel like I hear people say poinsettia more often than poinsettia. This was originally $20, and on the back it shows that it has 2 big white flowers, 1 magnolia, which I think is the gold one, some berry clusters, holly, greenery, pine cones, foliage, ornaments, and wire picks. And on the back it shows that you're supposed to use this in one of those like terrarium glass things to make a little display. So this is actually pretty cute. I will definitely be using these. I don't think I'll do it as like a terrarium like they showed, but I'll probably like add it to a wreath or something like that. Up next in here, I can see 2 of these. I don't know if there's more. Is some decorative filler that looks like little white berries with snowdrops on them, and this was originally $6. I see 2 of them in here so far. So some nice little filler. We've got some plain pine cones. These were $6.99. It looks like there's like 6 of them in there, and they're pretty big. Pine cones. We got some mixed pine cones, and some of them have glitter on them. This was also $6.99. I'm going to run out of space back here so fast. Also, I got to be careful with that candle. We have, a garland. Very large garland with brown leaves. That's kind of odd for Christmassy things. And white poinsettias and berries. This was originally $40. It's going to get stuck to my head. And it looks like there's 2 of them in here. So I'm going to just pull the other one out as well. Trying not to lose things as I do that. That's going on the floor. Alright, up next. Oh, we do have at least one Valentine's thing in here. This is a Valentine's Day box, like for kids to do Valentine's at school. This was originally $5. It's just a little white box with a cutout in the top. That's very nice. I have a pom-pom craft kit to make a little Santa. This was originally $5. I will probably be donating this because I don't think I will use it, but still very cute. We've got another ornament craft kit. This was originally $12. Again, probably something I'm going to donate, but still very fun, especially if you've got kids. Another ornament. This one's a stocking, and this one was, oh, I guess both of these were $8, not $12. I was looking at the Canada price. This one makes a little stocking. Very fun. I have some foil balloons. These, it says they were on clearance for $5. I can't find the original price on here anywhere, but there's 3 star balloons in there. Can probably find something to use those on. I have 2 Christmas gel cling sets. They're little Santas and presents. These were originally $3. I will probably also be donating those. A little, oh, it looks like it needs to be glued back together, but a fairy princess photo holder. Need to glue the wings back on. Yeah, this was originally $2.50. We got some more gel clings. These ones say Merry Christmas. These ones are a lot cuter than the Santa ones. There's a half a chance I will hold on to these, but just the Merry Christmas letters. We got another pom-pom craft kit. I think it's the same Santa one as before. We got some more foil balloons. This one says hooray. And these were, oh, it says they were $11.99, so maybe that's what the other ones were too. But got the hooray letters. Another decor piece. Santa, please stop here. This is heavy. This was originally $15. Put that back there. I see 2 plastic ornaments, but they have no tops. So I don't know what to do with these. Those probably just got thrown in there. We got some more pine cones. These were $7 originally. They're mostly brown. There's a couple red ones and a couple green ones. Yeah, more pine cones. Oh, I'm getting glitter all over the place. We got another Createology kit to make a tree skirt. This was originally $8. Probably going to donate this as well. I might make just like a little kid's box that can be donated. And a Christmas tree decoration that looks like it has fallen apart a little bit because the pine boughs are coming off. But this was originally $17. That's wild. It's literally just a piece of fabric with pine branches hot glued onto it, and the hot glue is coming off. So not ideal. Will probably be donated as well. And then there is, last thing in the box is 1 set of tiny glittery, looks like, glitter jingle bells. These were originally $6. So even with all the stuff that I'm not planning on using, that's a pretty good haul for a $10 box. That was easily, I think, probably close to $200 worth of stuff. I'll have to total it up and see how much it was, but not bad, at least. And definitely just for the, like, you can't see it, it's off camera, this alone, the floral stuff, and the pine cones, which I will probably actually use, that was a really good deal, so I'm happy with it. I thought that was going to take a lot longer to show you, but that's okay. We'll just end the podcast here. Hope you had fun watching that unboxing. I'm definitely glad I only got one because there were definitely some repeats in there. And just in like looking through the holes of the boxes that I could see all stacked up, it looked like a lot of the same things throughout. Although I did see a couple others that looked like they had spools of ribbon and stuff like that in them. But I don't use ribbon very often, so that's why I picked this one, because I could clearly see the floral pieces and the pine cones and stuff. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that you can be notified of all of my future videos. I'll also have information in the description box for you to follow me on Instagram and TikTok so that you can check out those accounts too. I do post to Instagram more regularly now. I was trying to also post to TikTok more regularly, but I got off track, so it's been a while since I posted, but I'm gonna get back into it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.